our stunts were pretty simple.
On
It was
screen, Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy looked like the perfect pair. Two warriors locked together in survival, fueling the raw, thunderous energy of Mad Max, Fury Road. The film stunned audiences, winning 6 Academy Awards and cementing its place as one of the greatest action movies ever made. To the world, they seemed like co-stars bonded by fire and sand. But behind the cameras, the desert heat wasn't the only thing burning. Whispers of tension began to leak out. Charlize describing the set as horrific, Tom frequently showing up hours late, and an atmosphere so toxic that bodyguards were reportedly brought in. For years, the public was fed the image of a strong, creative partnership. They posed together on red carpets, smiled in press junkets, and sold the illusion of unity. Yet fragments of truth emerged in interviews, memoirs, and headlines, contradicting the fairy tale of camaraderie. So here's the central question. Was the bond between Theron and Hardy ever real? Or was it just another Hollywood performance, crafted for cameras, fractured in reality, and remembered as one of the industry's most infamous friendships? And with that, we head into the glossy facade that first made them appear inseparable. The story of Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy's friendship begins, as many Hollywood illusions do, with a once-in-a-generation project. When director George Miller resurrected his dystopian franchise with Mad Max, Fury Road, he needed more than just roaring engines and dust storms. He needed faces that could carry the weight of myth. Charlize Theron was already an Academy Award winner, celebrated for her transformative role in Monster, 2003, and praised for her range in films like North Country, 2005, and Young Adult, 2011. Tom Hardy, meanwhile, was the rising star, breaking into global recognition through Inception, 2010, and The Dark Knight Rises, 2012. Casting them together was a stroke of genius. The hardened, almost wordless Max against the steel-eyed, shaven-headed Furiosa. From the beginning, Warner Brothers knew this was a pairing that could be marketed as chemistry incarnate. In the run-up to the 2015 release, the studio deployed every tool in the PR arsenal. Magazine spreads showed them side by side, their poses exuding grit and unity. Entertainment Weekly's Fury Road cover framed them not merely as co-stars, but as co-commanders of the franchise's rebirth. On red carpets, from the glittering premiere at the Cannes Film Festival in May 2015 to appearances in Los Angeles and London, they stood together, often styled in complementary outfits, giving photographers exactly the image of harmony they craved. Talk shows further embroidered the narrative. Clips of Theron and Hardy sitting together on couches trading light jokes were replayed across late-night television. In one segment, Charlize teased Hardy's brooding persona, while he offered a half-smile, all packaged neatly as proof of off-screen rapport. For the average viewer, it was easy to believe the duo had survived the desert shoot as comrades, bonded by hardship and cinematic destiny. The illusion extended beyond media appearances. Behind closed doors, publicists carefully arranged interviews to feature both stars together, ensuring that sound bites reinforced the story of partnership. A Warner Brothers press kit from 2015 even described Theron and Hardy as kindred spirits, a phrase repeated in countless articles. The message was clear. These two weren't just acting side by side. They were allies in the brutal landscape of Fury Road. Box office expectations fueled this strategy. With a production budget reportedly north of $150 million, the studio couldn't risk whispers of disunity undermining its blockbuster gamble. So the myth of friendship became part of the film's marketing DNA. The audience wasn't simply buying tickets for a high-octane action spectacle. They were buying into the story of two performers who had pushed each other to the limits and emerged bonded. In those heady months of 2015, the narrative held firm. Fury Road stormed theaters in May, earning raves from critics who hailed it as a masterpiece. The Cannes premiere drew a standing ovation that lasted nearly 7 minutes, an almost ritualistic coronation of the film and its stars. Media outlets highlighted Theron and Hardy's apparent camaraderie, contrasting their on-screen ferocity with the smiles they flashed in tailored suits and gowns. And so, for the public, the myth solidified. They were not just Max and Furiosa, but Charlize and Tom, the unstoppable duo who had survived hell and come out stronger. Together, illusion hardened into truth. The carefully polished illusion began to fray almost as soon as the cameras rolled. Behind the cinematic beauty of Fury Road lay one of the most grueling shoots in modern Hollywood history. Months in the Namibian desert, with punishing conditions, limited communication with director George Miller, and a production schedule that tested everyone's patience. For Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy, those conditions exposed differences that could not be hidden behind red carpet smiles. Power and experience were the first dividing lines. Charlize entered the production with an Oscar and over 2 decades in the industry. She was not just a star but a proven force, someone who commanded respect on set. Tom Hardy, by contrast, was still shaping his global reputation, known for his intensity, but not yet a household name. Industry insiders later noted that Hardy seemed determined to assert himself, sometimes in ways that clashed with Theron's more disciplined professionalism. Punctuality became a flashpoint. Crew members recalled that Hardy frequently arrived hours late to set, forcing the cast and crew, hundreds of people in the sweltering desert heat, to wait. Charlize, known for her precision and punctuality, grew increasingly frustrated. In Kyle Buchanan's 2022 oral history, Blood, Sweat, and Chrome, the wild and true story of Mad Max, Fury Road, Theron reportedly exploded one day after Hardy showed up hours behind schedule, telling him bluntly, "Fine the fucking cunt $100,000 for every minute he's late." It wasn't just a moment of anger. It was the boiling over of weeks of tension. Patterns of absence revealed themselves in subtler ways too. While promotional photos showed them shoulder to shoulder, the reality on set was that Theron and Hardy often kept their distance. Crew accounts describe them sitting apart during breaks, rarely sharing small talk, and approaching scenes with different energies. Hardy was instinctive, improvisational, often wanting to try multiple approaches. Theron was precise, analytical, committed to planning her performance. Instead of balancing each other, those approaches clashed like oil and water. Social media, the new window into celebrity relationships, also told a story of silence. During the months leading up to and following Fury Road's release, neither actor posted images together or engaged with each other online. In an era when stars often use Instagram or Twitter to amplify their friendships, or at least the appearance of them, the void was noticeable. Fans speculated, but the machinery of PR drowned out the whispers. Even the choreography of promotional events revealed subtle cracks. At certain press appearances, Theron and Hardy were carefully placed apart during group photos. On a few occasions, reporters noted the coolness in their body language. Theron leaning away slightly, Hardy's answers clipped when her name came up. Individually, such details could be dismissed, but together they formed a pattern of distance that contradicted the image of solidarity. The book Blood, Sweat, and Chrome provided the most detailed reconstruction. Dozens of crew members confirmed that the set was toxic, not because of incompetence, but because the leads were locked in a quiet battle for dominance. Theron, fearing for her safety after one explosive confrontation, even requested a female producer to act as a buffer between her and Hardy. That request spoke volumes. This was not merely creative tension. It was a fracture visible to anyone paying close attention. By the time filming wrapped in late 2013, the illusion of camaraderie had already been battered. Yet the studio pressed ahead, confident that promotional gloss would cover the cracks. But for those who were there, the truth was undeniable. Cracks were no longer rumors. For a time, Warner Brothers and the cast managed to maintain the illusion. Interviews were carefully edited, red carpets choreographed, and sound bites rehearsed. But scandals have a way of breaking through even the thickest studio polish. And, for Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy, the truth finally clawed its way into public view. The first cracks reached the press not long after Fury Road premiered in May 2015. While the film was universally praised, earning a Best Picture nomination and 6 Oscars, rumors persisted that the shoot had been anything but glorious. Charlize herself hinted at the reality in a 2016 interview with WSJ magazine, where she described the production as horrific. Though she stopped short of naming Hardy directly, the implication was clear. This was not the story of 2 comrades in arms, but of 2 stars locked in a miserable standoff. As the years passed, more fragments surfaced. Industry gossip circulated about Hardy's lateness and Theron's frustration, with tabloids publishing anonymous quotes from crew members. But it wasn't until 2022, nearly 7 years after the film's release, that the full picture exploded into the public domain. That year, journalist Kyle Buchanan published Blood, Sweat and Chrome, the wild and true story of Mad Max, Fury Road, an oral history featuring over 100 voices from the cast and crew. The revelations were explosive. Theron recounted her clashes with Hardy, including the day she demanded he be fined for showing up hours late. Hardy, for his part, admitted in the book that he was out of his depth and should have shown more respect. What she needed was a better, perhaps more experienced partner. That's what she didn't get. I was in over my head in many ways. It was a rare public acknowledgement of fault, but it only underscored how volatile the relationship had been. Even more shocking were the crew testimonies. Cinematographer Mark Gurnicht recalled that after one particularly heated confrontation, Theron felt so threatened, she requested a female producer be assigned to stay with her at all times. According to him, the request was granted, an extraordinary step that spoke volumes about the toxicity on set. The revelations ignited headlines across the entertainment press. The Guardian ran the headline, "Charlize Theron felt unsafe with Tom Hardy on Mad Max, Fury Road set." Variety echoed the story while Vulture and The Hollywood Reporter dissected the dueling accounts, framing the Theron-Hardy feud as one of Hollywood's most infamous behind-the-scenes battles. Fans took to social media, and the digital arena became a battlefield. Hashtags like Saknur Team Charlize and Our Team Tom trended as viewers debated who bore more responsibility. Some argued that Hardy's method-style unpredictability added to the film's raw energy, while others condemned his behavior as unprofessional, especially toward an actress of Theron's caliber. Charlize's admission that she felt unsafe resonated in a post-Me Too era, where conversations about respect and equity on set had taken center stage. The fallout extended beyond gossip. Suddenly, the flawless narrative that Warner Brothers had crafted for Fury Road was shattered. The film remained beloved, but its legacy was now entangled with stories of abuse, intimidation, and clashing egos. Instead of 2 stars triumphing together, audiences learned they had survived the desert shoot in spite of each other. The mask was off. No amount of red carpet smiles or carefully worded press lines could erase the fact that the truth was out there, raw and unfiltered. What had once been whispered in corridors was now splashed across headlines, dissected in podcasts, and debated in forums. And for Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy, the question was no longer whether the rumors were true. The scandal had made it undeniable. The mask shattered in public. When the truth of the Theron-Hardy feud reached the public, the story no longer belonged to the studio. It belonged to culture, and the consequences stretched far beyond the desert sands of Namibia. On the surface, Mad Max, Fury Road, was an undeniable triumph. The film grossed over $380 million worldwide and swept the Academy Awards in 2016, winning 6 technical Oscars and securing a place in film history. But even at the height of celebration, the silence between its two stars was deafening. Unlike most successful co-stars who gush about working together, Theron and Hardy rarely spoke of one another in glowing terms. When they did, it was clipped, cautious, and tinged with regret. Charlize, in interviews after the scandal broke, struck a tone of reflection. "We should have trusted each other more," she admitted, acknowledging that the toxic environment had robbed them of what could have been a powerful collaboration. Her words painted her less as a victim and more as a survivor of a grueling process. Fans praised her honesty, reading her statements as an act of dignity in the face of chaos. Hardy, by contrast, offered an apology of sorts. In blood, sweat, and chrome, he confessed that he had been out of his depth and owed Theron greater respect. The revelation of his private apology, a handwritten note left for Theron after the shoot wrapped, softened some critics' views of him. Yet for many, the damage was done. In the eyes of the public, Hardy's unpredictability had crossed from method brilliance into dangerous unprofessionalism. The scandal also cast a shadow over the Mad Max franchise itself. George Miller had always envisioned the series as more than a single installment, with spin-offs and sequels planned. But when Warner Bros. Greenlit Furiosa, the highly anticipated prequel slated for 2024, neither Theron nor Hardy was attached. Instead, the mantle of Furiosa went to Anya Taylor-Joy, a generational talent poised to reinterpret the role. To many, this recasting symbolized the definitive rupture of the Theron-Hardy partnership. Their absence became more than scheduling. It became a character in itself. Commentators seized on this irony. In essays for The Atlantic and IndieWire, critics argued that the real-life animosity had, paradoxically, fueled the very intensity that made Fury Road unforgettable. "The fury wasn't just in the engines," one piece quipped. "It was in the actors' eyes." Another commentator noted that the film's energy thrived precisely because its leads were never truly in sync, turning their hostility into cinematic electricity. Fans, too, wrestled with conflicted feelings. Many declared loyalty to Charlize, praising her professionalism and the iconic strength she brought to Furiosa. Others defended Hardy, insisting that his erratic genius was part of what made Max compelling. But almost everyone agreed on one point. The dream of seeing them reunited on screen was dead. The scandal reshaped both stars' reputations in subtle ways. For Charlize, it reinforced her image as a consummate professional unwilling to tolerate toxic behavior. For Hardy, it deepened his reputation as mercurial, a performer capable of brilliance but shadowed by volatility. Most of all, the aftermath exposed how fragile Hollywood illusions really are. The narrative of solidarity, repeated in press kits and interviews, collapsed under the weight of lived reality. And the fallout made it impossible for fans to watch Fury Road without sensing the real-life tension humming beneath the surface. The absence became a character. The story of Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy's fractured partnership is more than just Hollywood gossip. It has become a case study in how the industry packages relationships to sell movies, and how audiences are learning to see through the seams. For decades, studios have leaned on the myth of camaraderie. Co-stars are framed as confidants, their off-screen friendships presented as proof of authenticity. It's a marketing tool as old as the star system itself. If the actors seem close, the audience will believe the chemistry is real. With Fury Road, this playbook was deployed with surgical precision. Red carpets, magazine spreads, and late-night appearances crafted the image of Theron and Hardy as allies who survived a cinematic war zone together. But once the truth emerged, the facade collapsed. Far from disillusioning fans, however, it deepened their fascination. The idea that one of cinema's most acclaimed action films was fueled by genuine hostility reframed the way people viewed it. Suddenly, Furiosa's glare at Max carried more weight, her fury more authentic, his brooding more believable. The performance wasn't just acting, it was reality bleeding onto the screen. In this sense, the Theron-Hardy saga highlights a paradox of modern Hollywood. The fake friendship may have been fake, but its collapse created a legacy more powerful than any PR campaign. By surviving their feud on screen, the film captured a rawness that a scripted Bond could never replicate. The cultural conversation also revealed how much audiences have changed. In the past, studios could bury on-set conflicts. Today, in the age of leaked memoirs, viral interviews, and media literacy, fans read between the lines. When Theron described the set as horrific in 2016, it wasn't brushed aside. When Buchanan's Blood, Sweat, and Chrome exposed the toxicity in 2022, the revelations became part of the film's lore, not its shame. This transparency has become a kind of inheritance. Viewers now approach celebrity friendships with skepticism, aware that what looks genuine on a press tour may be little more than choreography. The Theron-Hardy feud stands alongside other examples: Sarah Jessica Parker versus Kim Cattrall, Vin Diesel versus The Rock, as proof that Hollywood stories about unbreakable bonds are often illusions. Yet the legacy is not only negative. In some ways, the fracture has elevated Fury Road's status. Critics now analyze it not just as a technical masterpiece, but as a psychological duel between its stars. The film has become a touchstone in discussions about labor, respect, and the pressures of blockbuster filmmaking. It is both a triumph of cinema and a cautionary tale about the human cost of art. Charlize Theron's career remains untarnished. If anything, her candidness strengthened her standing. Tom Hardy continues to work steadily, though the shadow of volatility lingers. But together, their names will forever be linked, not as Hollywood's best friends, but as co-stars who turned conflict into legend. And so the legacy of their fake friendship is twofold. On one level, it exposed how studios construct and sell intimacy. On another, it proved that audiences no longer consume these stories passively. They dissect them, question them, and reinterpret them in light of the truth. Which raises the ultimate question. In celebrity culture, what does friendship even mean? Is it something genuine, lived quietly beyond the cameras? Or is it another role performed under lights, crafted for marketing, and destined to crumble when the credits roll? So after all the dust, the accolades, and the revelations, what do we make of Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy? On screen, they gave us a masterpiece, a clash of wills that electrified Mad Max, Fury Road. Off-screen, their relationship was marked by distance, frustration, and regret. But maybe that's the enduring paradox of Hollywood. The stories we love are often born from tension, not harmony. Now it's your turn. Do you believe Theron and Hardy were ever true friends? Or were they simply co-workers forced into survival mode, performing for cameras while battling behind the scenes? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's keep the debate alive. And if you want more untold stories of Hollywood's illusions, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Because sometimes the biggest drama isn't on the screen, it's behind it.